Join this community, guys. Subscribe to this channel and thumbs the video up if you enjoyed it. I have a question for you guys. Where is Luis Ortiz? And why hasn't he responded to Mr. Anthony Joshua? You know, about a week ago, or maybe even a little over that, Anthony Joshua went out and said that one of his opponents that he was looking at for April was Luis King Kong Ortiz. So I find it kind of strange and odd that Luis Ortiz hasn't responded to that because, you know, Luis Ortiz was going around calling out Anthony Joshua, saying that Anthony Joshua was, you know, a coward, the most afraid out of the two, out of Wilder, out of AJ, he was the most afraid one. I find it odd that both Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz, the two guys who call Anthony Joshua a coward, the two guys who say that, you know, they are willing to fight him, don't say anything when Anthony Joshua calls them out. You saw what happened when Anthony Joshua called out Wilder on ESPN. He stayed on hush mode. He didn't say anything. And then when he did actually speak, all he was talking about was Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury. I'm going to be fighting Tyson Fury. And if Tyson Fury pulls out, I'm going to be facing Dominic Brazil. Never mentioned Anthony Joshua. Acted like Anthony Joshua didn't go on ESPN. Acted like he never saw it. He never saw that interview. And it seems that Luis Ortiz is going the same route because he hasn't said anything. Why hasn't Luis Ortiz, you know, because I remember when Dillian White was going around saying, I'll fight you, Luis Ortiz, back in December, but you got to fight me. Remember when we were talking about that Eddie Hearn was thinking about making a fight between either Dillian White or versus Derek Chisora or Dillian White versus Luis Ortiz back in last year? And I remember Dillian White was saying that he would fight Luis Ortiz, but Luis Ortiz would have to come to the United Kingdom because Luis Ortiz wanted Dillian White to go to fight him in the undercard of Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, because he fought in that undercard. He wanted him to fight in that undercard, but Dillian White said no. He said, come fight me December 22nd. And I remember Luis Ortiz being very vocal and making, you know, there would be boxing scenes articles where they would interview him. So he was responding. He was responding when Dillian White was offering him that fight in December 22nd. Just like he was responding to Deontay Wilder when he was going after him. Yet he hasn't said a single word since Anthony Joshua called him out or said he's one of his opponents. Why hasn't he gone on Boxing Scene and said, hey, I would love to accept it. I would love to accept this fight. I just find it odd that Luis Ortiz, a guy who's everyone calls a boogeyman, everyone says, you know, everybody's ducking him, especially Anthony Joshua detractors. They say that he's terrified of Luis Ortiz, but the only one who's staying on hush mode is Luis King Kong Ortiz. If Luis King Kong Ortiz was smart, he would start, you know, speaking about this opportunity. Start, you know, just like he was doing with Dillian White, just like he was doing with Deontay Wilder. Have Fight Hype make a video, you know, interview you and say, hey, you know, talk shit about Anthony Joshua and say, hey, you accept this challenge, just like you did with Deontay Wilder, and see what happens. See if the fight actually gets made, right? Because, you know, you got guys out there saying that Luis Ortiz is not a big draw, right? Well, when you stay quiet and you don't say a single word, then yeah, that can make you not a big draw. So I think Luis Ortiz needs to be vocal and try and get this fight with Anthony Joshua. All right? I don't like that he's being on hush mode and not saying anything. Because, again, the only one who made the effort to try and call out a fighter was Anthony Joshua, not Luis Ortiz. He hasn't responded. He's been on hush mode. And I really hope, I want to see Luis Ortiz in there with a threat, somebody who's going to give him an actual fight. You know, I really don't want to be hearing 2 weeks from now an announcement that Luis King Kong Ortiz will be fighting somebody that has no business fighting him. Okay, because that would be 3 bums in a row. I told you guys in the past, and I'm going to continue to say, Luis Ortiz is one of those fighters that he likes fighting guys who are not meant to be in the ring with him. He fights guys that are not on his level. This is what he's been doing his whole career, and this is why I've never considered him a legit, quote-unquote boogeyman. Because boogeymans fight guys who are legit heavyweights and beat them, right? Or at least give them a hard time. Not fight a bunch of, easy cherry-picked opponents and then fight one good guy and then go back to fighting easy cherry-picked opponents. And especially Luis Ortiz, because nobody knows how old he really is, but most people assume that he's lying about his age and he's actually older than he really is. It's said that he's 39, but people have been telling me that he's actually like 48. So if that's the case, he doesn't have much time left at all. At all. If he's 48 or if he's 39, he really doesn't have that much time left. So he needs to take these big opportunity fights. Get in there with Anthony Joshua. He came up short with Deontay Wilder. He had his chance, and he lost. I thought he was beating Deontay Wilder, but he just couldn't avoid the right hand. So I want to see him in there. I want to see him be vocal and try to get this fight with Anthony Joshua and not be on hush mode. Right? So, but funny enough, I remember I think like a month ago, I read a piece where his one of his team, I think his manager or something, Jay Jimenez, I think, yeah, he was talking about that he's going to sign a deal with Eddie Hearn. I remember reading a piece about this, so hopefully that's true, because if that's true, then the fight between Anthony Joshua and Luis Ortiz looks very likely, because if he's actually going to sign a 3-fight deal with Mr. Eddie Hearn, that's awesome. You could put him in there against Joshua and Dillian Whyte. All of Eddie Hearn's heavyweights. But yeah, I want to see Luis Ortiz be vocal, because that's how you make these fights happen. Be vocal. At least Dillian Whyte is vocal. Right, out of all these heavyweights that are possible opponents for Mr. Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz, Dillian Whyte, the most vocal guy is Dillian Whyte. He's the one who's been, talking about Anthony Joshua, trashing him at times, because he actually wants to fight, right? He actually wants to fight. That's what I like about Dillian Whyte. If he wants to fight someone, he'll go and he'll say, "Let's fight." Or he'll make IFL TV interview him and tell you his opinion about the fighter, tell you how bad the fighter is as a fighter, criticize the fighter, call him a coward. You know how Dillian Whyte is. He has a mouth. So he's the only one who seems to me who's interested in actually trying to get this fight with Anthony Joshua. Hopefully it does happen. Like I said, if Luis Ortiz doesn't get the fight, and if Deontay Wilder's punk ass doesn't agree to fight, at least give it to Dillian Whyte, because like I said, I think Dillian Whyte deserves it. Anyway, guys, I have to say, subscribe for latest in boxing, and I'm out. Thanks for watching, guys.